What is going on, YouTube? What is going on? I hope everybody is feeling good. Hopefully, everybody is feeling great. Everybody's feeling positivity, baby, because the Mets are going to the NLDS, baby. Yes, the National League Division Series. The New York Mets have made it to the NLDS. This is huge, huge, huge for the Mets. I mean, what a game yesterday that we got to talk about from the New York Mets standpoint. But wow, it was insane. What an insane game it was for the New York Mets. You had the New York Mets. You had the going against the Milwaukee Brewers yesterday, and the Milwaukee Brewers are a good team. And man, Tobias Myers looked really, really good yesterday. They looked like they were shutting out the New York Mets. And they did get shut out. They got shut out for 8 innings. And the New York Mets have been resilient all year, guys, all year. And Pete Alonso, it's unbelievable. But Pete Alonso has saved the season for the New York Mets in a scenario in the ninth inning. You're going against one of the best closers in the game. Devin Williams has an airbender changeup, that nasty changeup, and Pete Alonso comes up in a big situation for oh my good, it's crazy to me. I still can't believe that Pete Alonso came up in this big spot because the pressure was on. The pressure for Pete Alonso was on. This guy was not doing anything. He hasn't hit a home run since September 19th. September 19th was his last home run. And it's October. We're in October. And he hasn't done anything. He hasn't really hit you. He hasn't hit you a double. He hasn't hit you a home run. And he's not hitting for extra base hits. So Pete Alonso had so much pressure going into going into that game. And oh my goodness, Carlos Mendoza, what he does is he puts Pete Alonso in the cleanup spot. And it's unbelievable because people were thinking, oh, put Pete Alonso maybe down in the sixth spot or something, put him away from the cleanup spot. But Carlos Mendoza trusts his guys. And I will say for Carlos Mendoza, he has been great all season. But wow, what a move to have Pete Alonso in the cleanup spot. In the ninth inning, it looks like the hope was done. Jose Butto gives up 2 runs. You bring up Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz is walking guys. It looked horrible. It didn't look good for a New York Mets, fan. But the New York Mets, it was going to come down to Pete Alonso, and it did. You knew it was going to come down to Pete Alonso, and it did. It came down to Pete Alonso, and Francisco Lindor hits you he walks, and on a really good at bat against Devin Williams, one of the hardest guys when it comes to facing. You're facing this guy, Devin Williams. Devin Williams is really, really good. So then you got Devin Williams, and then Francisco Lindor walks, but then Nimmo hits a base hit, and now you got first and third, nobody out, and you got a big situation. Pete Alonso comes up, 2 people on. He can basically give this team a lead, and Pete Alonso has a good at bat, does not chase any sliders, any changeups, and he hits it out of the park. He hits a home run to right field, opposite field, and it was a moment that you just can't even understand unless you're a Met fan, and it was a moment that Pete Alonso and Met fans needed. We needed this moment for Met fans, and I'm so happy. I am so happy that Pete Alonso finally came through as a New York Met in a big situation. He finally came through. And Pete Alonso, I will say, I've made a video that he wasn't clutch. He hasn't been doing anything, and he needs to wake up. And I am happy I made the video because it looks like he's woken up. You know, sorry guys. Pete Alonso has to wake up. He had to wake up, and he finally hit a home run, guys. And Pete Alonso, this was one of the biggest home runs, probably the best home run I ever saw as a Met fan, because the season was on the line. Francisco Lindor's home run was really, really good, but Pete Alonso's home run was something special. It was something that it came down to Pete Alonso, for the season, and it was huge. It was a huge, huge moment for New York Met fans, for Pete Alonso, and I am so, so happy that Pete Alonso is now, that he hit a home run. He hit the biggest home run as a Met he's ever had in his life. That was a huge home run. That saved the season. Now you move on to the National League Division Series. You're going to face the Phillies. The Phillies, guys, the Phillies are a really, really good team. You're going against Zach Wheeler, game one. And what I really want to talk about here is, surprise, surprise, Kodai Senga is now scheduled to pitch game one for the New York Mets. This is huge, huge, huge. Let me see. He said what you said here. Randy, we won. Your Alonso video didn't age well. Listen, it didn't age well, but I'm happy it didn't age well, because it's not that I hate Pete Alonso. I don't hate Pete Alonso. I just want Pete Alonso to do well. I want him to do well, but he hasn't been clutch. He hasn't been doing anything in big situations. Every time there's a big situation, there's runners on, he either gets a ground ball double play, he pops it up, or he strikes out. He's not doing, anything productive for this team. But this came down to that situation, and Pete Alonso came through. Pete Alonso came through, and I loved it. I don't care if my video didn't age well, because I don't hate the guy. I want the guy to do well, but he hasn't been doing good. He hasn't been hitting in big spots. He hasn't. Pete Alonso, I have, and Met fans have higher expectations for Pete Alonso. And Pete Alonso should be a guy that's hitting you home runs, that is hitting you doubles, hitting you for extra base hits, and he wasn't doing it. So it came down to this situation, and finally, Pete Alonso saves the season, comes through, and it was an amazing sight. It was an amazing, amazing sight. Honestly, as a New York Met fan, you thought the season was done. I thought the season was done at that point. I didn't have any hope in Pete Alonso. I really didn't, because he hasn't come through in a big spot. But he finally came through in a big spot. And now the New York Mets are finally past the Brewers. And now we move on to the Phillies, baby. And Kodai Senga goes for Kodai Senga is going to be your pitcher for game one. And I am so, so happy that he is. Kodai Senga, listen, I know he's had some injury issues, but Kodai Senga and Carlos Mendoza, man, going with these gut calls. I love this, man. I love this, and I'm happy that, being a Met fan, I know, we go through a lot. We've been, struggling all year, 11 games under 500. And then the Mets had that team meeting, and the Mets got it together. And now the Mets are going to the National League Division Series. It's amazing to even say. It's crazy to even say, because nobody expected this. I didn't expect this as a Met fan. I never expected to get to the National League Division Series this year. I didn't expect it. With this team, Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, I thought maybe there's a chance. But the way this team has played, the way the character of this team, the way the manager, Carlos Mendoza, has become a real character for this team. He's everything to this team. And Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, we always talk about the core. Is the core good enough to win? Is the core good enough to win? Well, the core got you, now to the National League Division Series, because Alonso comes through in a big, big spot, and I honestly love it. Yuki, what's going on? Yuki, what's going on? It's October, spooky season. Hello, Ghost Fork. Senga 7 innings shutout tomorrow. I love the positivity. I'm going to tell you that probably Kodai Senga will pitch 3 innings, 4 innings. I'm not seeing Kodai Senga going past 5 innings tomorrow. If we can get some length from him, I would love that. But we don't know what we're gonna get from Kodai Senga. This was a surprise to see Kodai Senga in this spot. So I am happy that Kodai Senga is your pitcher for game one. I love this. This is something that it can go really, really well. It really can. And I'm happy that Kodai Senga is getting this opportunity. He went to Mendoza. He went to the Mets and said he's ready to go. And Carlos Mendoza, maybe some managers would say, oh, you're ready to go, but am I ready to start you? And Carlos Mendoza said, let's do it. Let's do it. So Kodai Senga is going to be your starter for game one of the National League Division Series. I honestly love this. What's going on? I'm a Knicks fan too. He definitely saved the season. Yes, he did, man. He saved the season, and I'm happy he did. New York Mets fans doesn't deserve Pete Alonso. You must get a polar bear tattoo. I am not getting a polar bear tattoo, but I will say I was wrong about Pete Alonso not being clutch because he came up clutch in the biggest situation that you had to come up clutch. The season on the line, and Francisco Lindor did it in Atlanta, and Pete Alonso did it in Milwaukee, and it was beautiful as a Met fan to watch. Howie's Rose call. If you haven't heard Howie Rose call, with the Moneyball edit, you got to hear it because it's an amazing, amazing edit. I love it, honestly. Jose Quintana had an amazing outing. He really looked really, really good. And you're going against Milwaukee, a really good team, a 93-win team, guys. Milwaukee's a good team. Jose Quintana came up big for this team. He shut these guys out for at least, 5 innings? He did a great, great job. And Jose Quintana, hats off to him. Hats off to Jose Quintana for doing what he did. And I'm so, so happy that he did it. Last time the Mets were in the National League Division Series was 2015. Yes, it was. And we got past and we went to the World Series, baby. So listen, I think when it comes down to this New York Mets team, we have character. This team has heart. This team is resilient. The New York Mets team is very resilient. And I will say, I love your comment right here. Manager of the year, Carlos Mendoza deserves it. Carlos Mendoza, if there was any manager of the year, it should be Carlos Mendoza because he got the New York Mets to the National League Division Series when they were 11 games under 500 in May. 11 games under 500, and they finally came through. They had a team meeting and everything changed. It just seemed like the whole feeling of this team changed. Whether you want to call it Grimace, whether you want to call it whatever you want to say. You want to say Grimace saved the season, or you want to say the players, Alvarez coming back, JD Martinez getting hot, something saved the season. And it was amazing to watch. Amazing to watch. So I am happy as a Met fan that we are going to game one. We are going to the National League Division Series, and now we got to win. Honestly, we got to win. This is a huge, huge series. You're going against Zach Wheeler, and Zach Wheeler, oh my goodness. Zach Wheeler is one of the best pitchers in the game, and we beat him. We beat him the other day. So there's a chance that we can beat him again. Okay, you're going into Philly, but I am so happy. What is going on, Stoney? What's going on, brother? This year is unbelievable. Yes, it is, bro. It's unbelievable because nobody expected this. I didn't expect this. When our biggest signing was Luis Severino, I was telling myself, why the hell are you signing Severino? Why are you signing Luis Severino? But I will say I was completely wrong. Because Luis Severino It's not that I didn't think that he would do well. It's just that I didn't think that would be your biggest signing of the season. But it was at that time. And Luis Severino, Sean Manaea, Jose Quintana, David Peterson, Mark Vientos, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, Tyrone Taylor, Harrison Bader. All these guys saved the season. They came through together as a team. And I am so, so happy that finally the New York Mets are going to the National League Division Series. And Kodai Senga will be pitching in game one. Kodai Senga, guys, I am so happy that he's pitching in game one. I had a little feeling that this could be a possibility. And I felt like, listen, it would either be Senga or it would be Tyler McGill. And Tyler McGill had a really, really good start against Atlanta. He kept the team in the game. As a starter, just keep the team in the game because you don't know what's going to happen. And Jose Quintana did that yesterday, and the Mets came through. The Mets came through in the craziest situation ever. You're going against Devin Williams and Pete Alonso hit you a home run. I can't believe that it happened. It's so unbelievable. It really is. Let me see. I heard Jeff could be back is what I'm hearing. Listen, if you're hearing that, I haven't heard that. I have not heard that. But if Jeff McNeil could be back, I mean, it is what it is. At this point, Jeff McNeil, I personally, his bat was coming along before he got hurt. But Peter, I'm happy that this team has Jose Iglesias, man. Like, I'm so happy that this team has Jose Iglesias. And we don't got to deal with, the attitude of Jeff McNeil. So, but Jeff McNeil gives you a defensive, versatile guy. He plays defense. He can hit. If he's healthy, there's a chance that we see him then. But I'm going to say this. Kodai Senga coming back is huge for the New York Mets. We know as a New York Mets fan, when we were facing the Atlanta Braves and it was a big game and Kodai Senga pitched in that game, his first return, and he pitched amazing. His fastball looked good. His ghost fork looked good. His slider looked good. All his pitches were looking amazing. And Kodai Senga, this is a huge, huge surprise for New York Mets fans. I don't think that we saw this happening. I know that we heard about it, and Kodai Senga could possibly be, in the postseason. But we had to get to the postseason. We didn't even get to the now we're in the postseason. Now it's a possibility that Kodai Senga could pitch, and he's going to pitch in game one. And listen, I am happy that he's pitching in game one because Kodai Senga is a game changer. He's a game changer. He has one of the best stuff in the game. That fastball that throws 97 miles per hour, 98 miles per hour. He has that ghost fork that is completely disgusting. It is so nasty. It's one of the best pitches in the game. And a slider that is amazing. So Kodai Senga, I know as a Met fan, when he got hurt, I felt like the morale went down that after that day. But the fact that he's pitching in game one for the National League Division Series, it's insane. As a Met fan, it is insane that we're even in this position. And I love it. I love it. So I will say, Stoney, I think Kodai Senga will be pitching either 3 innings or 4 innings. I don't see him going for 7 innings. I don't see him going for 5. I don't see him going for 6. If Kodai Senga is coming back, which he will, he's going to pitch in game one. I see him possibly going 4 innings at most. I really don't see him going 7 innings, 8 innings, 6 innings. I just personally don't see it. But I don't know. I don't know what can happen because anything can happen. But Kodai Senga, you're going against the Phillies, one of the best offensive teams. You got Alec Boehm. You got Kyle Schwarber. And yes, you got one of the best hitters in the game, one of the best players ever, Bryce Harper. And you're going against a really good team. You're going against Zach Wheeler. You're going against Ranger Suarez. You're going against Christopher Sanchez. This is not going to be easy for a New York Met fan. This is not going to be easy for the New York Mets. But I will say the Mets have a really good chance, especially if they win game one, because game one is huge. Game one, you make a statement. And if the Mets can win game one off Zach Wheeler, one of the best starters in the game, former Met, Zach Wheeler, that would be a huge statement. They did it in Citi Field. Can they do it in Philadelphia? Can they do it in Philadelphia? I think they can. I think they can. If they come to play, if Senga pitches good, if Zach Wheeler, we know what we're going to get from Zach Wheeler. The Mets know Zach Wheeler. They know he has an amazing fastball. They know he has a nasty slider. They know he has nasty stuff. When it comes down to Zach Wheeler, the Mets got to beat him. The Mets have to beat Zach Wheeler. And what I will say is I'm happy that he doesn't have any hard feelings towards the Mets anymore, because he said recently in an interview that that team, the New York Mets, has changed. There's new ownership. It's different people. It's not what it was before. And he knows that definitely, it's changed and there's no hard feelings. And I'm happy that Zach Wheeler is doing well, because he was a former Met, but now he's on the other side. We got to beat him. The New York Mets have to beat him. And they did it the other night. They did it the other night in Citi Field. So now Brandon Nimmo got that big home run off Zach Wheeler. That was a huge home run. That won the game. So now, who knows what happens? I say the Phillies, we got to beat the Phillies. Yuki said Phillies hitters spent 5 days getting ready for McGill, using millions of dollars, high-tech, putting pitching machines and all that. Now they don't have enough time to relearn Kodai Senga. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't have enough time. If we get ahead of the Phillies and score a lot of runs and stay in the lead in the series, that would be a plus. Yes, it would. Because we got to beat this team. We have to win. We have to win. Listen, I'm happy that we got to this point. I'm happy. I love that we got to the division series. But now we got to win. And we got to win. And we got to go for everything. We got to win the division series. We got to win the championship series. And we got to win the World Series, baby. Because possibly, as a Met fan, I never thought this was possible. But there's a chance that we could go to the World Series. There's a chance. So, and another fact that you guys probably don't know, every team that's beat the Milwaukee Brewers, I think for the last, 10 years, 12 years or something like that, every team that's beat the Milwaukee Brewers has, in the postseason, has gone to win the World Series. It's a crazy, crazy fact. So now, Kodai Senga, the New York Mets, I hope that we get to the World Series and we win it, baby, because oh my God, 27 years old as a Met fan. It's crazy that we even got here, because nobody expected it. Nobody expected the Mets to even be here. But we are here now. We're here to play. We're here to win. And Kodai Senga, the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Mark Vientos, Starling Marte. Can we talk about Starling Marte here? Starling Marte has been professional. He's been great. I love that Starling Marte is on this team. I really do, because he's a professional hitter. He gets hits. I know earlier in the season, his defense wasn't great. And I know he's an older player, but Starling Marte means so much to this team. He really does. And I am so happy that Starling Marte is a New York Mets. I really am. Because, man, who knows what will happen. But I will say Kodai Senga pitching game 1 is completely huge. Let me say the D-backs and the Yankees won the World Series after Buck Showalter left the team. Listen, whatever the Mets, if they need some juju or whatever, if the Mets are the team, the Mets beat the Brewers in the postseason, and now they got to win the World Series. I mean, at this point, because literally 10 years ago, or for the last 10 years or 12 years, every team that's beat the Milwaukee Brewers in the postseason has gone to win the World Series. I think win the World Series or has gone to the World Series. I'm not sure about that. But I will say I am so happy. I am so happy. So this is unbelievable that we're even in this position. We can talk about the whole team, Randy. You're right. You're right. If you want LOL, they're all good. You're right about that, man. They're all good. Jose Iglesias, what he's meant to this team, what Starling Marte has done for this team, what Brandon Nimmo has what he's been doing lately. And Brandon Nimmo for what does it feel like months? For months he wasn't even hitting. He was striking out. He wasn't doing much. And he finally, got back to being Brandon Nimmo, and I love it. I love it. Just Phil Maton scares me, and sometimes Diaz. Well, listen, the bullpen is a discussion. Definitely, I will say Phil Maton, I have complete trust in. Complete trust in Phil Maton. I like Phil Maton. Phil Maton has been one of your best pitchers, hands down, for this reliever. For the relievers, he's been one of the best relievers all season. Once the Mets got Phil Maton, he's been one of the best relievers. And then you got Jose Butto, who's been really good as well. And then you got Edwin Diaz. And at some point, you don't know what you're going to get from Edwin Diaz. You don't know if you're going to get the Edwin Diaz that, can control the ball, throw that beautiful slider, get strikeouts, or you're going to get a Diaz that walks guys and, barely, barely could get to the strike zone. But I will say Phil Maton, Edwin Diaz, Jose Butto, Ryan Stanek, these are your guys. Reed Garrett didn't even pitch in the series. Which is crazy. But I love it because Carlos Mendoza is doing what he's doing. But we'll see what happens. I think when it comes down to the situation, if Kodai Senga comes in and shoves tomorrow, I will run on Citi Field Diamond with an All Things Mets t-shirt. Listen, I don't want you to get arrested, okay? I don't want you to get arrested. But I will say, I love it. I honestly love it. I love the fandom. I really do, because this is something beautiful that we're witnessing. We really are. And it's amazing. It's amazing what we're witnessing. And what I will say about Kodai Senga, what I will say about the New York Mets, the New York Mets have been resilient all year. Resilient all year, man. Hands down, end of the season coming through. Pete Alonso, man. Pete Alonso has been struggling. Hasn't hit you a home run since September 19th. Hits you the biggest home run ever that I ever seen personally. I'm sure you guys have seen other home runs, but this was the biggest home run I've ever seen as a Met fan, the most clutch home run I've ever seen, because of what has become of Pete Alonso. If Pete Alonso was raking and he was hitting home runs, for the last weeks, for the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks, and he was hitting a lot of home runs, he was hitting doubles, it wouldn't mean as much, because wow, it came down to Pete Alonso. It was the end of the season. This could have been his last year, his last at bat as a Met. And he came through. he came through. And I honestly love it. I am so happy he did. What do you um yes, you don't know if you're going to get Diaz from 2 years ago or no, it's a toss up. Yeah. Stoney, would you want to be back as a Met next year, Randy? Okay, so I love Pete. Okay, Pete has been amazing ever since his rookie year. He's been doing really good. But the thing about Pete Alonso is his exit velocity is going down year from year from year. And it's a little concerning to me. It's a little concerning, but the man just saved the season. Yes, you're completely right. The man saved the season. Yes, I'm personally signing back Pete Alonso for a 2 year, 3 year, or 4 year, a 3 year or 4 year contract, but I'm not giving him 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I can't. I can't give him a 7 year contract, a 8 year contract. It's just too much. If you look at his age is something that you got to take into account because I love Pete. I love his attitude. I love, the way he goes about the game, the way he goes about, what he does off the field. But I just can't say that Pete Alonso definite to give him 7 years, 8 years. I personally can't because of the numbers, the concerning exit velocity going down from year, the down years he's been having. I just personally can't give him a 7 or 8 year contract, but I would love for the Mets to sign this guy for a 3 year or 4 year contract. Is he going to take it? Probably not. And if you want to say give him 5 years, then give him 5 years. But I'm not giving him 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. It's not happening from me. But I am not the manager. I am not the GM. I am not David Stearns. And I'm sure David Stearns, whatever decision David Stearns makes, is going to be good for the New York Mets future because I trust David Stearns. I really do. This guy, I felt that there was something different when David Stearns was announced as our president of baseball operations, the first president of baseball operations for the New York Mets. I felt there was a difference because, yes, we got Steve Cohen. Yes, we got money. But David Stearns, a guy that knows baseball, finally is in charge of the New York Mets. A guy that grew up as a Met fan. David Stearns finally gets his chance to be the president of baseball operations. Steve Cohen waited 3 years for David Stearns to put him in the spot because he really wanted that guy. And the Mets got David Stearns. And I personally feel that David Stearns is an intelligent man when it comes to baseball. He really is. And you see what he has done in 2024, signing guys like Luis Severino, Sean Manaea, like Tyrone Taylor, like Harrison Bader, guys like Jose Iglesias, guys that you didn't think that were going to be big in 2024. You didn't know that they were going to be that huge, that huge of an impact, but it was an amazing impact that David Stearns has. An amazing, amazing, amazing impact. And I will say, David Stearns changed this team. He changed this team and he gave this team a chance. You can call him Dumpster Dave if you want, but I will say personally, I loved every single move that David Stearns has made because it has worked out. It has. Tyrone Taylor has been phenomenal. He's been one of the best outfielders in the game when it comes to the New York Mets. Harrison Bader, phenomenal defense. So Luis Severino, great year. Sean Mania, amazing, amazing. Both Severino, even Quintana struggled, but he came through. David Stearns is amazing. I really think I have a lot of trust in him. So if he wants to sign Pete Alonso back, he will. If Pete Alonso doesn't come back to the Mets, then it is what it is. But if David Stearns feels like Pete Alonso is going to be successful going forward, he's going to give him a contract. He's going to give him a contract offer. Will Pete Alonso take it? I don't know. But I will say, I am so happy that David Stearns is the man in charge, because it's amazing what he has done within 2024 New York Mets. You remember that Max Scherzer said, "Oh, the Mets aren't going to be competitive." Where is Max Scherzer now? Where's Max Scherzer? I can answer that question. He's sitting on his couch. He's sitting on his couch, and the Mets are on the National League Division Series, baby. So David Stearns, I love this guy. Stanek, he's been unbelievable. Yeah, Stanek. I like Ryan Stanek. I like Phil Maton. I like Jose Budo. I like our bullpen. I really do. Do I think it's the best bullpen in the world? No, of course not. But I will say David Stearns saved this bullpen. And the Daniel Nunez was a big loss for the bullpen. I wish they had him. But what I will say, man, the Mets are playing in the National League Division Series in a transitional year. That is the only quote that you need right there. So, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to eat some dinner. But I'm so happy, man. I am so happy. As a Met fan, it was a beautiful, beautiful moment yesterday. And Pete Alonso, I hope something has woken up in him, because we need Pete Alonso. If the Mets are going to the World Series, if the Mets are getting past the Phillies, past the Padres, past either the Padres or the Dodgers, and to get to the World Series, we need Pete Alonso to hit for power. We need him. And I hope he comes through. I hope he's woken up, because we really need him. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys watching the stream. You guys are awesome. Man, we'll see what happens, but I love how this team's morale has been. I love the fight of this team. It's something special. So I'm going to get out of here. Have a good one. Yeah, McNeil wife just gave birth. You're right about that. Congratulations to Jeff McNeil on being a father, to his daughter. And yeah, man, I'm out of here. Have a good one. LFGM for life.